Yes, salutations, peace and love. Welcome to a podcast called Eti Sen. At a podcast called Eti Sen is always the first question we ask. So before I proceed, let me ask you, Eti Sen. Take your time, reflect on it, do it in your own time as well. Right now we have an episode in it, not that I don't care about it, Right. We have to move on in it. So obviously you can see I have some people with me today, got a master vigilante out here. We're coming serious, So I'm gonna some you may know already. Some voices may sound familiar, but that's the whole thing in it. We're growing together. We're trying to build a legacy, trying to build an empire. So here we are in it. So
The pursuit of money in itself as a life ambition is killing people.
it's killing people because you will never have more. You never have enough.
Thank you.
You will never have enough. Money is literally printed.
And you know what people do?
A value is assigned to it. We all agree, and that's why there's value. Literally, that's it. And what happens when money? What happens in recession? That the value that we have given to that money is now vulnerable. There's now cracks in it. So we're not spending the money as much as it is. So the fact that we're not spending, that means that literally there's no longer any value being generated. So prices start going down to encourage us to spend more. If you don't spend more, the prices keep going down to spend more. And they keep going down and they reach a level where they can't recover, or by the time it recovers, it's now a deficit. And then all of a sudden, money has no value. And this happened recently. It happened in 2008 and it happened with COVID.
Yeah.
So as you can understand, there is a lot of power, and that's why they have to manufacture our acceptance by creating a lot of systems and really by distracting us. But honestly, we can talk about this at different angles. But I think Enrico had wanted to make a point before I jumped in there.
I'm gonna say that it's a question of what is one willing to sacrifice for money, or for more money, which represents more opportunity in this world of ours. But do you sacrifice your physical well-being? Like if you're a labourer, you're giving your dinner for 50 years, or something like 60 years.
Yeah.
You break it back, Do people give up on their mental health in terms of spending so many hours, in an office working for doing this or that, or not spending time with their family, not eating healthily because they want to get people, harder economic times obviously drive desperation in terms of trying to attain money. But even people with money, or who have a sufficient amount of money to be able to lead a good life, a comfortable life, you ask most people in the world, who live in poverty, they would love to live that life, they'll take it. Even those people now don't seem to find happiness or internal joy or peace because they want to attain more, and then they want to use that to be able to buy more stuff. And it's like, money is needed in order to be able to, get the basics of life, which are food, energy, water, basic clothing. But past a certain level, if your fix is still to get more money, to get more opportunity for what, you should be looking at opportunities for intangible things like spending time with your kids, with your loved ones,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I'm not sacrificing the intangible things for a tangible thing. It's not just the money. It's the watch. It's the car. It's the whatever that it can buy you.
Yeah. So the materialistic pursuits as well, the validation to show the rest of the competition that you've arrived. Well, as I said, from our educational system to our way of life, to the way even our job system, our economic systems are set up, everything is to do with competition. There's rarely any collaboration. Everything is literally to achieve, to be better than the next person, to be better than the people in your circle, to be better than the group. And even in your circle, you may not admit it, so you may find a circle of people that have the same mindset, so they all accept that we're all trying to be the best we can, and by doing this better than that person is switched on that same wavelength as me, so that I know that will trigger them to also try and be better, just to at least catch up and go past me. If they go past me, because I'm on their wavelength as well, I know that, okay, that's not my trigger. And eventually you find a group of people that are highly successful, highly with high net worths. Basic, like if you're looking at the metrics of how to say someone is successful, at least from a financial point of view, they have mortgages, they have properties, their credit is amazing, cars, whatever they need, they can travel, and their lifestyle is on point, but at what sacrifice, as you mentioned? Physical health, is it there? Mental health, is it there? Spiritual health, who even cares about spiritual health nowadays? Let alone emotional
that's
health.
probably the most important
Exactly. So, what for you do you value? And that's for me. I'm seeking balance in all of these things now. It's about balance for me, and I'm coming back to the point that honestly, we don't need money, because when you talk about it being a motivational factor, because we feel we need it. But I've done this thought experiments before, whereby I ask myself, and maybe because I've experienced money, so I can think about not experiencing it. But the question I asked myself was, if I didn't have money, or if I didn't need it, what would I be doing with myself right now? Like honestly, when I wake up, what would I do if I didn't need to go to work to go and earn it? But I didn't need to pay any bills. I didn't need to worry about where my food was coming from. I can literally go into what we call a supermarket. Next, it should be called a food dispensary. You go in, you take what you need for the day or for the week, for the month. And then you can come back and use it. The point I'm making is, if my basic needs are met, and literally basic, I'm not asking for a lot. I have hot water. If I live in a place that I need hot water, I have electricity. I have my gas. All the things that I need to be, you know what I mean? Like literally those real if I have all of those things, that really make me comfortable. Which means I don't need to go and make money to be able to afford my gas bill. I don't to be able to go shopping, to be able to travel. I don't need to all of that. I have the freedom to travel anytime I want. I don't need to buy plane tickets. I don't need to. It's about booking it in advance. It's about giving due notice. All of those. I'm saying, if we really thought about it, there are systems we can put in place whereby eventually, the same way we have a society that after not even millennia, after centuries of conditioning, of putting this system in place, we now grow up and we think this is a way of life. So if we now start thinking about, okay, in the next 50 years, can we influence and change society to be, because we have the resources and the means to. If we do that, honestly, I believe that for me, I know what I'll be doing. I know I'll wake up. I'm likely going to do some form of exercise, meditate, without no rush, because I'm not trying to meditate to finish it on time before I can go and have a wash to go to work. I'll do my exercise, but that's me. I'm not saying people won't get lazy. I'm not saying there's going to get some people that will just wake up and play Xbox all day. I'm not saying there's going to be some people that are going to take the piss and go and try and, but the thing is, you take away the greed element, because you cannot go and take more than you need and sell it on, because there's no platform. There's no, you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no need for you to try and acquire all of this, because who are you competing with? We all have the same. There will be no more need for you to try and say, okay, I'm the best, or I have the latest watch. If I wanted it, all I needed to is go to that shop owner and take it. No.
And why would you want it to start with? What is the
Exactly.
use?
What's the use for having that? Because there's no longer any worth. It doesn't show that I'm making more. Just because I'm having a 500k watch, straight away you know what my net worth is. So if you really wanted to address it, the point I'm making is, we know why we chase money. I think we all are aware of it. We know what it will give us if we have it. We know the lifestyle we can get from it. So why don't we do a reverse engineering? Give everyone the lifestyle that money will give them. Of course, as with anything with human nature, some people are going to try and exploit it. As with money, some people use it for evil. Some people are going to try and take the piss. It's part of human nature. Yeah. I'm saying overwhelmingly, over a century, going to take 2 generations, as in our grandchildren. I believe if we start having these conversations with them and eventually removing our dependency on money as a means of giving anything
so
value.
who builds
Is it not the same so-called governments?
Government, but obviously, even with the government, the individuals are building it. And I'm just thinking of it in the sense of, yes, everything is there. Like in regards to food, it's simpler, because if food is growing somewhere and it's put somewhere, and then when anybody needs it, they know where to go get mangoes and grapes and whatever they need to eat. But then in regards to being able to jump on a plane and go to a different country, somebody still had to build that plane and get that airport and organize that and do the labor. But with the labor, like,
that's the point, and that's the
so
whole point.
People actually, if people don't feel like, okay, I'm gonna do all of this work, or I'm gonna build on these skills to be able to make an aeroplane, what's the motivation to get them to do it? Because if I'm sitting down and we all have the same thing, then why am I then working extra hard and doing extra research and getting that information that I need to be able to build this thing to make life better for everybody else? Because we will have the lazy.
Go in and then I'll come in after. And I had a thought experiment, so I thought about these things also after you address it.
It's just what you just said. You know, if there is no value placed on money, if whatever you want you get, you don't need to pay, then nothing will become valuable. Because there will be
assigned value to something else.
The
value will be assigned to something.
Exactly.
It will be on your ability to persuade
some
someone.
Recognition.
But the value will no longer be. It will be intangible values. It will not be tangible. It won't be based on material things.
It won't be something that you can touch or hold.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now I'm focusing on those tangible things that will place value on. But if we follow your thought process and we make everything cheap, everything free. Okay.
Not free. You have access to it.
Yeah.
Some things there'll be a prerequisite. Some things there'll be a criteria. You have to show that you are worthy to gain it.
Okay.
It's not based on you being able to pay, because just because I have money, I can technically go and buy an island. I can go and buy a gun. I can go and buy a plane. Because I can afford it.
Yeah.
But does that mean I should have it?
Exactly. So if you remove that value on those things, the life always wants to have something to attach itself. Value. Human beings will discover another thing to put value on.
And that's the whole point I'm suggesting.
How do we know if that would be a better evil?
We don't know, but what we know is what we're experiencing now.
That experiment, we are just coming from a stone age. Ours is a society that we can call the jet.
Yeah, we're in the industrial age at the moment, yeah.
So you are taking us back to another stone age.
Not necessarily, we're not regression. This is an advancement.
It's not a retrogression in technology or in physics, but it's a retrogression of the mind, because our minds have been conditioned in a particular way. So you are trying to recondition the mindset of people on what they place value on how they can purchase that value.
It's an interesting point. I have no interest in reconditioning other people's minds.
Yeah, but that is what
the
happens.
point I'm making is think of something else apart from what you've been told to think about.
I'm also thinking about the effect that could happen, because you said we have to start with the young generation.
We have to.
So if we start now,
all of us are conditioned. Having this conversation right now, it's not resonating with most of us.
Exactly.
Because it's difficult to understand that we don't need money. If it's someone saying that to you, like, hold on, what do you mean? And the whole point you made about, so who's going to be working? Who's going to be building the planes?
The factors of production.
Who's going to be in the factories making the food?
Yeah.
There you go.
How do you then pick who gets what job? Who gets the good job? And
who actually takes
where does it come from?
Jobs.
Okay.
And who does the dirty work?
What is the purpose of our education system? What does our education system do right now? Isn't that what our education system does? It tells us it's educating us, but it's not educating us. It's preparing us to go to work, so that we understand what authority is, so that we're able to take instructions, follow processes. You go to a factory, you do this way, after this, you do this, after that, you do that. That's what our education system is. You get there this time, you have this lesson now, this lesson, you hear the bell, it's lunch. You hear this, teacher's talking to you, can't hold back. That's what we're prepared for. So the educational system then focuses on identifying which, there you go. Instead of manufacturing you for an industry that's prepared for you, we found out that whilst you were in nursery, whilst you were going through the education system, this is where your talents are. You're honed in there. When you get there, you're not interested, you find whatever your interest, your passion is from when you're an infant. What if they're really interested in educating, interested in your growth and your development, not looking at what they've manufactured to fit you into it. This is not going to happen overnight. The same way what we're living now didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But we have, if we're serious about actually having these conversations, we have to break it down. And that's why you made that point. Now, I got there too. I said, oh, what? But that's why we have to start somewhere. It's not going to start maybe globally, but you can start with a community, a society somewhere.
In the family.
Maybe 1,000. Yeah, even if you can start with a family. But if you want to really scale it out, buy a piece of land somewhere. And I think there's somewhere in India that tried it. Where they tried to build a utopia. And they tried this system. I don't know what happened, but it's either still going on or there's no one that's spreading the news because they don't want you to know that these societies exist. Because if you're told about it, you're going to move to it or you're trying to create your own. But there are people that are trying to create these societies whereby, so eventually you have people that are mathematicians and that's their focus. Look how we have our son, you know what. So straight away you know what you're putting them into. You have those that are coming in, they are talented, they're musicians, they're artists, you put them into the arts. You have those that are coming in, they're interested in the architecture. The sports.
They're also
Eventually
interested
society,
in that based on what they were exposed to as well from
not necessarily.
young.
So
Yeah.
you expose everyone to the same thing and then what they gravitate towards. So, and that's the template.
Yeah.
We say this is what we need in society. We need the ones that will be growing. We know the ones that will be governing. We need a physical, we need a sensual, we need a sensitive. So we identify certain traits and we also identify the ones that we can't put any label on. These are the ones that are likely going to touch on a few of these things in their lifetime. And you give people the freedom to be fluid. We are smart enough. Before COVID came, who knew that we could change society? Look at the impact when COVID was manufactured. Look how quickly we adapted. Look how quickly it changed our lifestyle. Everyone could stay indoors. Look how the impact it had on how we work now, working from home now. Look how the changes and the advancements it gave technology. Look at those that were able to capitalize on it. All of a sudden, face masks were realized of how important they were. Supply chains adapted. They focused their energies on face masks. Whole governments changed their budgets, changed their purchasing, and addressed the issue of COVID. Food supply, everything. And because I work in procurement, I had first-hand knowledge as to how we were able to put laws in place, legislation, and get everything ready to be able to tackle that. Because what? Our basic right to live and breathe air was literally challenged. And everyone, every country, pulled all its resources together because all of a sudden we realized we're one. We realized that we need each other to be able to fucking pull through. So why can't we do that when it really matters? When it's not a matter of life and death, but a matter of living a blissful life. And that's why I say that if we really want to, I'm under no illusions that it's not gonna fall down the path or there's not gonna be challenges, that it might be pushed back and we might have to take 20 steps backwards before, I know, but we have to start having these conversations.
It's a valid point you've made. It's a very valid point. Even with respect to the changing the educational system, identifying talents instead of teaching
Manufacturing it.
Yeah. So, but like in governance now, you know, everything we do that has money in it, there is also a form of control.
Exactly.
Who controls this money? Who controls that?
Who gets the power to tell you?
Who tells you, okay, I've identified your strength to be a governor. Who is the one that's going to make you that governor? Out of 100 people, maybe 90 wants to be the governor. They have that strength.
Yeah.
So now
Potential.
they have the potential. Now what happens is a lot of people start clashing.
Oh no. I take your point. I get it. And this is the conversation that I want us to, because once we start having these conversations, we will find solutions.
Yes.
But this is literally what the trigger is. So now you're thinking about it. You know what I mean? And also thinking, what if there's 100 people that want to, how do we identify? So that's what you build a curriculum. That's what you identify the topics of governance. These are the key elements. These are the key foundations that we need as governance. You go and do your, and that's what libraries were built for. Libraries were accessible to everyone in society. You could walk in, pick the book and read. You know,
But just because
So
it's only one position available doesn't mean it's only one person that's able to do
they can
that.
share
And I
the
guess
job.
that's why we
The
take
day that you're
turns.
feeling lazy, Charlie,
Yeah.
boy, today, PlayStation Day, oh, we're going to do the governor job today. Today, I feel like
That's-
driving the bus.
Yeah.
Or today, honestly,
Yeah, I guess that would
But-
work
but
if it's turn taking.
I'm more
because
interested in the control.
we don't
is
need
it-
control. That's the thing. You're still operating in the
No,
current
because
society.
because-
We
No,
don't
no,
have.
no. Something needs to there needs to be something
something-
to distribute
Yeah,
wealth and to
So
and to
this is
encourage.
come, so we have an agreement. We have a discussion. And that's what the democratic process is supposed to be. So we sit down, we discuss it, we all agree. Some people are, so you debate, you make your case, you make a justification. And we set down, these are the things we're trying to achieve.
on a
This is-
local level.
This is objective, and that's what I mean. You start at a very
Even
local
on a-
level.
even
What
on a
do you want a
local
family
because
to
if
look like?
everyone's doing it locally, then
That's
the
what
whole world is
expands.
taking.
Even-
Yeah, no, but I tell you, this system will take a long time to implement. The reason why is because right now we still have our globalization system which they put in. Even though that's breaking down because of because of one, the pandemic, and then two, the Russian,
Mhm.
even just this partial small breakdown in our system is already causing like poverty. It's already
The
causing
system is broken.
like Sri Lanka has, Pakistan has a different president. In Sri Lanka, you're gonna have a whole host of human catastrophes just because of this. So imagine trying to break that down even more and more and more and more, like at the moment, like to local levels. It would just like our whole, because a lot of like places where people inhabit and actually live are not sustainable. Like
Okay.
you have to.
They're
you
not
have to find a way to
sustainable.
import
Yeah,
food
that's
to
what
They're
I'm
not
saying.
sustainable
Yeah.
because they have adapted.
who is in the farm?
Exactly.
They've adapted
controls the
an
factor of
alien
production?
way of life.
Exactly.
Remember, the life that we are living at the moment, and I'm talking about someone that lived his first 10 years of life somewhere and moves to another place to live his current 2/3 of my life now, yeah? And I've been exposed to so many different experiences, and so have we all. The point I'm making is, I accept this. I'm thinking based on the current conditions I've been exposed to, and so I always have that default. I'm fully aware of that. So the points that you've raised is based on thinking about what you have identified as necessary to establishing a new society. However, that's based on the old thinking in this scenario, because the new thinking is the new society and the old thinking is what we are calling current. Yeah. So if you're thinking about it in this current or old way of thinking, then you're going to think about, we need someone to control. We need someone who's going to be in the farm. You're going to be thinking like that because that's how we feel that these things need to be identified. But the point I'm making is, we have to let go of all of those thinkings. Forget it all. It's like a literal clean slate, because we can't afford to allow any of the old thinking to creep in, because once it creeps in, excuse my French, it fucks up the whole thing. Like, because it now has roots in the old way of thinking, and eventually it will form a flower or build a tree with that kind of way of thinking. And believe me, guys, I said I spent an hour. You know how it gets when you're elevated and you're floating on a different wavelength. And I went as deep as I could before I pulled myself out of it. And I'm like, yeah. The conclusion I came was that it's too late. So I get all the pushback I'm getting. The conclusion I arrived at was, honestly, it's too late.
Because in actuality, things don't just happen. We can't. You can't just sit down and then this whole new life is gonna happen. We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to think about it from where you are, from where you currently are, to be able to evolve into the bit of not having to
Brilliant.
think about those things anymore.
And the
Because
reason
if
why
you're
I'm laughing-
starting from somewhere, yeah.
And I'm laughing,
Yeah.
sorry, I just have to finish on this one, because the reason why I'm laughing is you make that point, and that's so brilliant, because it's almost as if you were meant to say it that way. And this will be a very controversial statement, yeah? But the fact is, what we're living, and I keep using certain words, systems and conditions that we're living in, has been decided 50 years before.
Yeah. So
They
that
made
decision
and
needs to
they
be made
put-
now.
They
Yeah.
put things in place to ensure that we're here where we are now.
Entirely.
COVID threw them off a bit because the decision makers didn't consider certain powers, and they also have enough, and they also threw a spanner in the works. The war in Ukraine, also through because you get me. So you get to see that you guys want to run COVID, okay, run COVID. You finish running, I'm gonna run my thing now to get my outcome, to solidify my position in this globe. Yeah. So the point I'm making is the same way before Christianity spread across Africa as it has and the rest of the world as it has, a decision was made that we want to go out to the world and spread Christianity. The purpose initially was to spread the good news, but maybe also to spread an ideology. Because initially when they came, they were saying that your God
it's the ideology.
dead. My God is the one true God. They were not even denying that you do have a God, but they're saying that their one is the one true God.
That yours is dead.
And yours is dead. They came in, they brought an ideology, they brought a lifestyle, a way of life, a way of thinking. Christianity is what established morality. Christianity is what established certain ways that we think. Because most governments are Christian governments. America, in God we trust. Most governments. So Christianity is, especially in European systems, Christianity is like the foundation of the moral system. So when they're going and traveling and saying that we're bringing you the good news, and the next thing you know, there's a church, and next thing, so
they own you.
It's taken about 600 years. In the 1400s is when they started the ministry.
That's why I'm saying, for us to actualize these thoughts, it's going to take us. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Accepted.
Yeah,
I'm not denying that, but we need to start having the conversation.
Yeah, it's not going to be a piece of cake.
Oh, bro, you're spot on. I'm not denying any of those things. Honestly, I'm not denying that it's going to take long. I'm not denying that it's not easy. I'm not denying that it's just a fantasy. The point I'm making is, it's possible to live in a society where we don't need money. It is possible to live in a society where all your needs are met and you're still motivated to live a life. It is possible. That's the point I'm making. The difference is we can't accept that possibility because the way we currently live doesn't accept you, doesn't even encourage you to think like that. Because if you do, then you're lazy, you don't want to work hard.
Can I say
something? Because not everyone can have Bugatti. You know, there just isn't the resources in the world. Everybody Bugatti.
But no one will need a Bugatti though. That's the point I'm making. No one will need it.
But until you
who's going to
that
make
mentality, some people always want a Bugatti.
The technology that went into making the Bugatti will make something else. What's the Bugatti? The Bugatti is the fastest car. It reaches the top speed.
Maybe a fast transfer system. The Bugatti is there, takes you from one place to another.
Exactly. The Bugatti. At the moment, there's so much technology that's being suppressed. The ability to have wireless technology everywhere without having to pay Virgin, Vodafone, or O2 for Wi-Fi. You can literally tap into the Wi-Fi.
If you bring that,
so think about things like this are suppressed. Wireless technology everywhere removes our dependency on so many different institutions. Yeah? So that's something that's suppressed. The need that they can start, look at how it's essentially now moved us into electric cars. Now that it's become quite clear that we're moving away from fossil fuels, whereby there's so much evidence against it now that we're demanding it. So now that they've seen the demand, they're filling that demand. If I tell you that we can run cars on water, and there's evidence and there's scientific proof and they've done trials, but water at the moment is not a commodity that you can tax. It's not a commodity that you can say you can't give access to. I can run my tap and get water and I can put it in my car. So that means all these people that have established factories,
they will make money
processing oil and crude oil. So they have lobby. They control the government. So they've made it clear. Okay, you want to do this? You want to bring electric vehicle production? Calm. Give me 50 years to either adapt or make my profit. These are the things that we're distracted from. This is why you're talking about Boris Johnson having parties during COVID when they're making laws to do certain things. This is why you're talking about the war in Russia when they're making legislation to pass another bill. This is why you're talking about Trump this and Trump, because when you are distracted by the news and the media, the real decisions that they're making for the next 50 to 100 years that we're not even going to live, but our children, our grandchildren, our children's
we're not paying attention.
We're not paying enough, and that's what I'm saying. Just take a step back, and I'm telling you, we don't even have the time. We're not even given the space, and that's the point I'm making.
They've choked us.
We're stressing about so many things.
And you're right. Do you need to work? Do you need to work 40 hours a week, 5 days doing what? when you think of it in the bigger picture,
Come
it's
on.
going towards a cog of things we don't actually need.
Look at the Scandinavian nations. And why do you think we don't get certain piece of media, certain information from different types? Most of our, if you're living in the UK, most of the news you're hearing is about, if you get any news, especially in the main media, will be American because we share the same society, same ideology. But you're not hearing anything about how the Swedish education system is set up, how the economic system is set. You're not hearing about the Scandinavian nation because most of them are doing a 4-day system. Most of them are welfare states. Most of them are societies, and so they actually are implementing. If someone has had a conversation, we don't need to work 5 days. They've said into the government, okay, let's do 4-day week. We've implemented it. They're doing 4-day week. Oh, we don't need our children in school for 5 days a week. They don't need to be in school for 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Okay, just need to do 4 hours a day. You select your 4 hours and come and do the 4 hours, 10 to 2, 12 to 4. You understand what I mean? So at least there's practice here.
Yes, there's conversation.
Everything is money. So that's why the conversation about money. Money is the final objective.
Exactly.
For governments, that's it. How do we get more money from society? So how do we obtain it? Taxation is working, okay. And that's when COVID came. They made billions of pounds from COVID. So these type of topics, for me, I'm happy that we started off by having it around the same traditional lines, whereby pretty much any conversation around money being the root of evil, money making the world go round, we tapped on all those points. The difference is, do we actually need this thing that initially had value, initially was backed by a standard, until it was removed, became fiat, which means literally has no value. The value given to it, the value we by continuously using it.
Yeah, I did say earlier, the need for money is the root of evil.
It's the need.
Come back to that conclusion.
Because what
So
you're
not the love.
saying,
Yeah, it's the need for
Like
money.
in Roman, like fiat essentially means say as and it should be. So basically, the government writes and says this is it, and we believe it.
and you believe it.
Yo. So as you can tell, the podcast is getting a bit lively. You know, we started on a little bit of a monotone, and as we took it to different extremities, we decided to go into a bit more deeper and delve into it more. We can talk about money as much as we can because, of course, money does make the world go around. No one is denying that. We come to the conclusion that it's not necessarily the love of money that is the root of all evil, but the need of money.